Now, we talked about the two ways that people learn and grow. For some of you, are you sports parents? I am. So both of my daughters, they're grown now, but both of my daughters were athletes. I was an athlete. So at times, my excitement for my kids' performances would be a little over the top. I know I'm not alone, so don't judge me, okay? But another way of saying that is very often you'll see a parent probably so involved there, people on the outside will look into them and say, you are living vicariously through your kids. Like the way it's impacting you, you care even more than they do, right? And so that happens. But the beautiful thing about SLMs, or what I like to call significant learning moments, it takes that whole principle and makes it positive. So instead of living vicariously through others, we have the opportunity to learn vicariously through others. That others have already paid the tuition by which we only have to, our scholarship, our grant we received only requires our attention, not the cost. So I encourage you to really pay attention. Grab every learning moment that you can possibly grab. With that being said, let's now get into the reasons people don't change. Now, I say often, organizations are asked to change all the time. And people talk about organizational change all the time, but the reality is organizations aren't asked to change. It's the people inside those organizations that are asked to change. And many times those are the very ones not equipped with the tools to be able to maximize, or more importantly, manage those changes. So follow this. There's 5 reasons people don't change. The first reason is an attitude that says, I'm okay just the way that I am. We heard the quote by Eric Hoffer, and I just got through sharing it, that learners inherit the earth, while the learned, another word for learned is the know-it-alls, are beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. It's a scary thing when change is happening to you on the outside faster than it's happening to you on the inside. That will victimize you. So this first attitude that I'm okay the way I am, okay, it's great, but as my mentor used to tell me all the time, he said, Eric, you don't have to change. It's okay to coast. I was like, okay, good. He says, just keep in mind, in order to coast, you must be going downhill. So it's probably more important to keep learning and growing versus coasting and shrinking. With that being said, the second one we talk about is fear of the unknown. That's another reason why people don't change. And it's normal. We fear the unknown. People fear the future. In a practical way, I don't know how many of you do this, but it's hard for me to drive full speed into the fog. If I can't see where I'm going, I naturally hesitate. If I want to move fast, I better see clear. And so what needs to take place in terms of overcoming the fear of the unknown, and we're going to do this as we go through the process, is how do we make the unknown known? How do we decide on what we want our future to look like? And how do we design what we want our future to look like? And that is what we're going to specifically do. Not only is that powerful, us leading our own lives, but more importantly, when I lead a team or when I lead an organization, this is why vision is so important. Number 3, another reason we don't change is I fear failure. Fear of failure, I like to define as that's a self-image issue. That's not necessarily a competency issue as much as it is a confidence issue. Now, many people believe I will overcome my fear of failure by becoming more competent. Well, competence helps, but it's actually confidence that's the deal maker. I actually say confidence is the game changer. That's what it literally is. Confidence will take your competence and maximize it significantly. I like to call it's your force multiplier. So we're going to talk about overcoming the fear of failure. We're going to talk about self-image psychology. We're going to talk about in that area comfort zones and how do we get out of them. But keep in mind, fear of failure is contagious as well. So leaders, it is very difficult to have high goals and high fear of failure. They're almost incongruent. So if you want big goals, you better start removing that fear of failure out of the way. Now, here's another one that we have here, number 4. Which is I fear rejection. This is another thing that can get in the way of us really embracing change. Now, when I talk about fear of rejection, please don't just view it individually. This is how it looks. Fear of failure is a self-image issue, but fear of rejection is a self-esteem issue. And when I talk about self-esteem, people go, oh, so you're going to talk about how I got to believe more in myself and I got to do that. Yes, but keep this in mind. Self-esteem is not an intellectual inventory of all your favorable characteristics and assets. I want you to understand this. The word esteem means to appreciate the value of. When we have self-esteem, we appreciate the value of. And another way of building esteem is like your psychological immune system. It allows us to deal with the ups and downs that come with progress anyways. All change brings inevitability, or it also brings surprise. If you're not even willing to step out there because you're worried something's going to go sideways, then you're never going to see change take place in your life. So we're going to talk about how to overcome fear of rejection by increasing our esteem level. Anyone with low esteem, you know where they spend the majority of time? Thinking about what others are thinking about them. Okay, that's what happens. And my grandma said it best. She said, baby, you wouldn't spend so much time thinking about what others think of you if you realize how seldom they are. Okay? Nobody's thinking about you in the first place. And so one of the reasons why this area is so big, when you show an individual who's able to understand how to deal with, I'm okay the way I am and get over that complacency, somebody who understands how to overcome the fear of the unknown with clear goals, they understand how to overcome the fear of failure by embracing and increasing their self-image. And they're also able to deal with a healthier aspect of esteem, which helps you overcome your fear of rejection. Now you have something pretty special to go after. But all of this wraps together because most people are at number 5, which is, I just don't know how to change. Okay? And this whole process and what I'm going to coach you on is giving you a sequential, logical process for change that are consistent with the laws of effectiveness. It is something that you can practice. I'm not trying to inspire you there. I'm not trying to motivate you there. I told groups when I spoke live, I've been in enough halftime speeches, locker room speeches that had me fired up just to go out in the second half and make the same mistake with greater intensity. Okay? So that is not what we're bringing. We're going to give you something that will literally give you a process to follow that's going to create change happening for you.